Hey, what's up, guys? This is Worse, and I'm back again with another comic book, audio book thing. This time it's going to be on the Led Zeppelin comic. The Van Halen comic was by Todd Loren. This is also a comic by Todd Loren for Revolutionary Comics. But yes, this is going to be interesting because with the Van Halen comic, I had zero idea what the heck I was getting into. I had no idea that it would be like a biopic, but in a comic book form. For the most part, I have no idea what the heck this is going to be like. I have no idea what's going to be in this. I'm excited to get into it, and yeah, guys, without further ado, I'm going to get right into it. Yeah, this first page, this looks pretty cool. Greg Fox, Mary Kelleher production. Britain, 1966. The band known as the Yardbirds just ended another night's performance to a pleased audience. It seems that the band's relationship is great while on stage. However, the relationship backstage is exactly the opposite. I've had enough of this foolishness. I'm leaving this group. Why, Paul? Tonight's show was great. I'm just sick to death of Keith's and your immaturity. Your attitudes are gonna ruin this band. Just what do you mean? What I mean, Keith, is that any group that tolerates a singer like yourself making fart noises into a microphone during a performance is not a group I want to be in. Goodbye. Well, I guess that means Paul is gone. Great. Now who are we going to get to replace him? Any ideas, Jeff? In thinking of an answer to that question, guitarist Jeff Beck offers an opportunity to his longtime friend, guitarist Jimmy Page. You know, Jimmy, I've been thinking, you know how you've been telling me you so hate the boredom of being a session man? Well, I know what you're driving at. Paul plays the bass, I play guitar, remember? Look, you know as well as I do that you can pick up the bass in an instant. You're the best session man around, and you're also the one who got me in the Yardbirds to begin with. I just want to return the favor. How about it? Okay, I'll take a stab at it. And so, Page becomes a permanent member of the band and is accepted with unanticipated enthusiasm. However, increasing internal problems between Beck and the other members cause Beck's dismissal, making the Yardbirds a foursome. As the group tries to recoup their former glory in the UK, they record a new album with longtime producer Mickey Most. In the interim, Peter Grant is hired to be the new manager. If we concentrate on making a hit single, we can make the Yardbirds a supergroup in England again. During the recording of the album, Page becomes acquainted with Most's musical director, John Paul Jones. I think Mickey should produce a really good album, not just a good single. That's absurd. Even though I'm inclined to agree, Most is boss. The album, titled Little Games, sparks no interest in Britain and is only released in America. This causes some members of the band so much disappointment, they decide to leave. I think it's time Jim and I moved on. By staying in this group, we're hurting our career. I think if all of us hang in there, we can accomplish anything we want to. Keith and I want to start doing material that's not even close to the Yardbird style. I'm sorry, Jimmy, but we're leaving. If you want to leave, that's fine, but Jimmy keeps the group's name. With the breakup of the Yardbirds, Page and Grant decide to form a new group. I'll circulate within the industry that you're forming a new group. Something's bound to turn up. Shortly thereafter, Page receives a phone call from an acquainted musician. Hello, this is John Paul Jones. I hear you're getting a new group together, and since I'm getting bored with being a studio man, I wonder if I might try out. It would be an honor to work with a musician as experienced and talented as yourself. Now all we need is a vocalist and a drummer. Page's first choice for a vocalist is Terry Reid, formerly of Peter J. and the Jaywalkers. He is unavailable, however, and I'm sorry, Jimmy, but can I suggest to you this young singer I know who's been trying to get into a stable band? His name is Robert Plant. Page and Grant traveled to Birmingham to see Plant perform at a teacher training college, and are so impressed by him. He's excellent for our group. This man has a great R&B influence. He is hired soon thereafter. On discussing possible candidates for a suitable drummer, Plant offers a suggestion. I occasionally work with a drummer that I think can provide the necessary sound we want. His name is John Bonham. After meeting with Bonham, he finishes his remaining commitments and agrees to join the group. With the lineup complete, Page begins rehearsals at his London flat, working on both old and new material. After nearly 3 weeks of steady rehearsal, "The sound we've developed is great. I never thought we could accomplish so much in so little time." "Well, then prepare yourself. A 10-day Scandinavian tour starts in Copenhagen later this month. They are booked under the new Yardbirds to fulfill remaining contractual obligations." "Well, we don't have another name yet. I tell you, Jimmy, that band we saw tonight, they were so bad. Going down like a Led Zeppelin for sure." "How does Led Zeppelin sound?" "Where did that name come from?" "A phrase that Keith Moon of The Who uses all the time." "That sounds excellent." "It's settled then. After all the contracts have been filled, the band will permanently be called Led Zeppelin." Upon their return from the Scandinavian tour, the group, now named Led Zeppelin, goes into Olympic Studios, South London, to record their first album. Good times, bad times, you know I've had my share. To get an outstanding arrangement of each song, Page takes on the production chores. "It'd be a good idea to make the songs exactly how we performed them live, with few changes." They give their first performance at Surrey University in mid-October 1968. "Been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true." The audience gives him a favorable response. After a few successful gigs, Grant goes to New York in search of a record contract. He succeeds with not only a recording contract, but also acquires full creative control over the band and nearly $200,000, the most money ever advanced to a new group at that time. January 1969. A U.S. tour begins, and a few weeks later, Led Zeppelin's debut album is released. On the Billboard's Top 100 albums, Led Zeppelin enters at 99 to peak at number 10. In March, they return to their homeland, exposed to a less enthusiastic audience. Baby, baby, I'm gonna leave you. To give the band much-needed exposure in Britain, Grant books the group as last-minute replacements on the TV show How It Is. "These guys are bloody awesome! Page is much better than he was in the Yardbirds." They soon return to the U.S. and become a headline act. As they work hard to build a strong musical reputation, they build an offstage reputation equally as strong. Now, which one of you young ladies wants to go first? By July, Zeppelin concerts from Los Angeles to New York get much media attention. With constant touring, the group has no other alternative but to prepare material for the next album anywhere possible. This unfortunate fact does not prevent them from performing at prestigious venues like the Lyceum Ballroom, London, Carnegie Hall, New York, and the Gardens in Boston. Led Zeppelin II is released late in October 1969 and climbs all the way to number 1, surpassing the Beatles' Abbey Road. Shortly after the album's release, Plant is injured temporarily in a car accident, but that doesn't stop him from performing. "We can't take a lot of time from the schedule. I'll sing in a wheelchair if I have to." Shortly after Plant's recovery, the band has to momentarily change its name to The Knobs while touring in Copenhagen, after threats of legal action by the powerful Ava von Zeppelin. "I don't care if they're world famous, but without permission, some shrieking monkeys are not going to use a privileged family name." Later that year, Zeppelin turns down offers up to $200,000 to play the Bath Festival of Blues and progressive music. Making money is not what performing music is all about. It's nothing less than an honor to play at an event such as this. They end their 6th American tour at Madison Square Garden, grossing over $200,000, and are voted the number 1 group. Late October 1970, Led Zeppelin III is released. It receives much negative criticism, yet doesn't fall short of hitting number 1 on the charts. Upon returning to England, they give a special promotional tour in which they perform at many of the clubs where they first started playing, selling tickets for the original price and taking the original profit, substantially lower than what they normally now take in. Zeppelin tours Europe, US, Canada, and even charity performances in Japan. Following the recording of their next album, the group has some difficulty on deciding the album's name. I don't think we should call it Led Zepp 4. It's becoming too redundant. Well then, what do we call it? Well, I think each of us should choose a symbol that you can identify with. Choose something that represents your attitude towards life, your state of being, something of that nature.
And then the album's title will be the symbols, which will not only represent us, but our fans will be able to identify us with them. As a result, this album, mistakenly called by fans Led Zeppelin 4, Four Symbols and Runes, hits number 1 everywhere except the US. It contains the classics Black Dog, Rock and Roll, and the group's anthem, Stairway to Heaven.
Even though the newest album was their most successful to date, this does not prevent the fact that they are sometimes discriminated against while on tour. I'm sorry, but we cannot and will not allow your band into our country as long as you have that ridiculously long hair. Well, you just missed the chance to have the most popular group ever to perform in your little pissant country. Good day! Little inconveniences, however, do not prevent the band from touring successfully in other places where they are respected for their image over the next year and a half.
Constant touring does not take away their ability to write and rehearse new material. The next album is recorded during brief vacations.
I watched the fire that grew so low.
Houses of the Holy is released March 1973. Its departure from the usual Led Zeppelin style receives much negative criticism, but it does not stop the album from reaching number 1 all over the world.
Following the Houses of the Holy's success, the group makes a few big decisions about future tours.
It's time to actively put Zeppelin in the media. I've hired an American public relations firm to handle all the publicity for us. I really think we need to enhance our stage performance. You kidding, man? We play between 2 and 3 hours every performance. No, I mean special effects. I'll get the top stage managers in the world to put together a stage for us. Yes, but keep that certain mystique about our shows. Don't worry, the stage changes we're about to make can do nothing but enhance Zeppelin's performances. Led Zeppelin returns to the US in early May 1973 with an all-new stage show and breaks all previous records they've set. They are filmed during their 3-date New York appearance at Madison Square Garden for an upcoming Led Zeppelin movie. In late 1973, Plant is voted the number 1 male singer in the world by Melody Maker magazine.
Thank you.
From September through November, individual segments for the film are shot so the movie is not just a concert film, but a film that shows a true representation of the group. Soon after, they purchase Headley Grange in Hampshire and make it a recording and rehearsal studio, beginning work for the next album. This album should go back to the basics. If you mean hard rock and roll, I agree. Upon expiration of Zeppelin's contract with Atlantic Records, the band thinks of a possible alternative. I really think we ought to have our own label with Atlantic, continuing the distribution. Other than that, we really don't need them. A band with its own label is nothing more than a vehicle for accomplishing its goals. I want it to be more than that. The purpose of a record company is to promote as many groups or acts as possible. If we can get other acts and promote them, I think we should do it. I already have some in mind. Bad Company, Maggie Bell, the great acts that haven't nearly reached their potential. Good, then it's settled. The new label, called Swan Song Records, holds a premiere party in New York in May 1974. I tell you, Pete, this is one hell of a party. Yes, but before the night is over, we'll probably already be in debt. With Swan Song's success, the group starts rehearsals in late November for their upcoming North American tour. Following the finish of the American leg of the tour in early 1975, they talk about their next album. People reacted wildly to the new material we performed. I've never been so happy on a tour. Well, then we should use all the material we've recorded over the last year, plus some older things, and release the album. Zeppelin's first double album, Physical Graffiti, is released late March and climbs to the top of the charts instantly. They return to their homeland after 2 years performing at Earl's Court, where their awesome stage show performance indisputably ranks them as the best group in the world. Shortly after, they flee the country for an indefinite time in order to escape the British tax. I personally don't think it's quite fair that the financial reward for my work I've done should just be given to my country's government. We are leaving for the principle of the matter.
While in Paris, Plant and his wife are greatly injured in a car accident, which causes Zeppelin's plans for a world tour to be canceled.
You won't be able to walk for at least 6 months. Zeppelin uses its time to rehearse new material for another album.
Oh, it's nobody's fault but mine.
The next album, Presence, is released in April 1976, becoming their first album to sell over 1 million copies on advanced orders. Later in October, the soundtrack for the film, The Song Remains the Same, is released. The film is premiered 2 days later as a charity event in New York, raising over $25,000 for the Save the Children Fund. To further promote the film, Led Zeppelin performs on Don Kirshner's rock concert show, their first American TV appearance. A few months after the film's great success peaks, Zeppelin's 11th U.S. tour begins with a 51-state tour. However, tragedy strikes, canceling part of the tour.
Robert, come home quickly. Our son Karak passed away this morning.
Plant takes a long but necessary vacation. As a result, rumors about a breakup begin to circulate. Jimmy, much of the press is saying that Robert is no longer able to work due to his son's death. Is that true? The members of Zeppelin are just like a family. Even closer, we are not breaking up. When Robert's ready, he'll return. Plant returns to Zeppelin in May 1978 with an unprecedented drive to be musically creative once more. I know I've only been away 10 months, but that's an eternity. Let's play! Now you're talking. 1979. After tremendous rehearsals and practice gigs, Led Zeppelin plays at the Knebworth Festival in Britain, their first major concert in 2 years. Their next effort, In Through the Outdoor, is released, simultaneously hitting #1 and bringing all of the older albums back on the charts. In early 1980, Zeppelin is still considered to be the #1 rock band to many reader poll magazines. The group tours Europe throughout the summer and starts preparing for another American tour for the fall. Unfortunately, in September, an even deeper, more devastating tragedy occurs. Hey, Bonzo, boys want you in the rehearsal room. Bonzo? Sure. After 2 months of Zeppelin's uncertain future, they reveal their intention to disband. The once mighty concert act known as Led Zeppelin comes to a close. Although the remaining members later use the name for special occasions, it is not the same. It will never be the same again. Not until we all reach the stairway to heaven. Anyway, guys, that was the Led Zeppelin comic. I really didn't know what I was getting into when I was getting into this. But, yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got to offer you for this video. I'm not going to review what I read. I'm not going to review it or anything. But outside of that, definitely have an awesome week, and I'll see you next time.